Hi guys. Okay, if it's Friday, it's Down and Dirty Woodscraft. And today we're going to have a little do-it-yourself project. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a belt sheath for a pocket knife. Now, why would you want to do that? Pocket knives are the detail blades, and I've mentioned several times in my kit and in several other things about how I carry a pocket knife all the time because it is just so useful. I find 10,002 things. And being out in the woods, it becomes the perfect knife for certain little detail work, especially when we're carving things, creating things, whittling things, etc. But often carrying it in a pocket is just not convenient, and not everybody enjoys having something in their pockets like that. So another method is to create a belt sheath to carry a pocket knife. Now, here are two of them. I'll show you up close. This is one I've had for many, many years, and it's called a rigger sheath because the old rigger in the parachute loft in the military, he'd give him a 6-pack of beer and he would sew you together a pocket knife sheath. Now this one, I believe, was military issue, and it had a accessory loop that went on here. Something went into that thing, but it's not here anymore. But you see, EOD and several things utilize this type of very simple sheath. And this is just nylon webbing is what this is. Kind of like, think of like seat belt material. And I've seen these type of pocket knife carriers made out of old seat belts out of derelict cars and things, where they've been cut, folded over in the pattern I'm about to show you, created, and then made it so it just slides in by friction fit into the middle of it. Now this is a leather one that I made. And this is what we're going to talk about today, the pattern. Okay, and this is a very simple pattern to make like this, and it creates a very rugged, durable carrier that rides on your belt. Now I made mine, and this one is not the knife I made for it. It's a new knife I just got, so it's a little tight in there. But this is a Robeson large jackknife that a friend of mine just gifted me, and I am very proud of. But we're going to talk about the sheath to carry it in. Now all this is, and we're going to show it in a pattern here in a minute, how to make the pattern is just one piece of material that is folded over. Okay, it's folded over, then it is folded over around the knife, then it is folded over for the back, and it is sewed all the way around. Now I will show you how to make this pattern right quick. But with this basic pattern, I can manufacture something to carry a pocket knife on my belt to be a quick and easy grab. But this pattern doesn't have to be just for a pocket knife. This is my carboard knife, and I have created a sheath with the same idea from a piece of belt leather to create another usable belt sheath. How tall you want this loop makes a difference, because like this, I want it so I got a place I can put the tip of the knife and guide in. So if it's on my belt, I ain't got to see it. Pocket knife the same way. I want it to guide in, and so I want a place I can take my fingertip holding the pocket knife, if I can't see where this is, and stick my finger and find the opening and then guide the knife down into it. You see what I'm saying? So this loop, how tall this loop is, affects how much of a lead you got to find it. So what this video is really about is how to make the pattern. Not so much as for a given piece of equipment, but I want you to understand how to make the pattern for this so that you can make a pattern for your own tools, knives. It does not have to be a pocket knife. It could be a multi-tool if you prefer that, or some other piece of kit. You can make carriers for your ferro rods. I've seen guys make pouches for their compass to ride. Whatever. It's the same idea, you just make it fit to whatever. Okay? Now we're going to take some readily cheap available cardboard for patterning. I like this stuff because it's wax, so it's a little stiff, and it's cheap and available, right? What you're going to do is just open up the seams on both sides. And then there's a center seam running right down the middle here. We're not going to do that. We're just going to simply hook and run down that corner right there. Okay, lay it out flat. Now we're going to pick one edge. When I mean an edge, see all these little tibbies picking up? We're going to cut those off so I've got a straight edge. Follow that line down, okay? Oh, and by the way, don't use your wife's good scissors for this. She will get upset. The secret to a happy home is having your tools and her tools. So, my recommendation is, next time you're at the store, pick you up a pair of them shears that cut anything. And those are your shears, because you're going to be cutting cardboard, you're going to be cutting whatever. If your wife cuts fabric or whatever, she needs her scissors extremely sharp, and this will dull scissors. So we don't want to do that, okay? I'm going to take this off just because it's going to be in my way. We have a straight edge on this side, and that's where we're going to measure from coming this way. Now, how wide do I need it? Okay, so here's how we start. We take one of those flaps that we cut off, and we take whatever device it is that we're going to use for, you know, the knife or whatever. We're going to take it and we're going to fold this in half. Okay? Now we're going to put the knife into it. Fold it in half, and then we're going to put it, whatever the widest part of the blade, we're going to put it right there in the middle of it. Okay? Now we're going to pinch it on this side and look down and make sure that this is an even from top to bottom pinch. And mark it, say right about there. Okay? Now, holding that, and I've got it marked right there. Now I'm going to take my scissors, and right there at my mark, I'm going to put a cut. Okay? Now that I've cut it off, I know that this is the width that I need to make my strip to make my knife. Okay? So I could take a ruler and measure this, and let's say, I'm just going to make up a number here, guys, but let's say it's 2 inches. I'm going to take my cardboard, I'm going to come up on this edge I've made straight. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to measure off 2 inches going all the way down. So I cut a strip off of here that's 2 inches wide. Okay? Now let's cut that out right quick. And if you don't want to use if you're doing this in the field or whatever and you don't have a ruler or something, you can do this. The piece that I just cut out that's the right width, I put it up here on my edge, and I cut it. I cut in. Then I scoot it up, holding it on that edge, and I use it as a guide to cut. Just scooting it up. Now this is not going to be exact. This is not exact. We're going to true it up here in a little bit. But you see what I'm saying? See how I'm using it? Using it. I make sure it's flush on this edge every time I go to cut. And that's how I guide it. Now when I'm sure I got enough length, and I'm sure I do there, I will simply cut it off. Now I have the strip that I need. Okay, now I've got my strip. So the first, say 2 inches, is going to be that lead that folds down. That's this part. This is to reinforce the front of it and make it stiffer, and it makes this round pucker right here. So it's not 90 degrees, but it's a rolled over lip, and it makes it easier to hold it, and it grips the knife better. Okay? So I'm going to take that first 2 inches and I'm going to fold it down, we'll say. Something like that. Okay? Now I'm going to put the knife up there. How much of the knife do I want sticking up? I want to be able to grab it. I don't want it to fall out, but I want it to grab it. Now notice with this, it's got a bigger on this end than that end. So if I shoved it in that way, it's got to be wide enough, but this can stand up higher and the friction will be down here. it's kind of tapered with this particular blade. So if I put it in, it'd only get friction like right there, and it'd be easy to come out. So I'm gonna make it where it goes in like that, and so the big end goes in, and therefore I get the maximum tension. And I want about, say, that much of that blade sticking up, enough I can pinch it and pull it out easily. Okay, so I'm holding that with my hand. Now I'm going to simply fold over the material, just like that. Okay, see, we just folded it. Now this is going to sew, and that's going to sew. Alright, now how high up? Remember I wanted this a little higher? So I'm going to come up here about 1 finger above the top of it, and I'm going to fold back over, just like that. So now this rolls over the top, line it all back up, and it comes down here at the bottom. Now, right there, I'm going to kink it, because that's where I'm going to cut it off. Now, what we have the knife sheath pattern right there. We have this lead that's 2 inches over to reinforce the top. We have it sitting all the way to the bottom. We have it folded so that when we squeeze these tight, it's going to be good. And this back becomes the loop. Now, when we go to sew this, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here at the top and we're going to poke a hole all the way through and put a piece of thread through it and tie it. We're going to come over here, we're going to poke a hole all the way through, tie it. Come down here at the bottom, tie it, tie it. Then we're going to do a trial fit in and out and put it on our belt and make sure, because we can adjust where it is now. Once we sew it, we're stuck with it, okay? But that's the basic of how to make the pattern. Now, sewing it. I want to take the flap, move it up, and I want to start on this side and come all the way to the bottom, okay? Sewing it. I'm going to come to the far side. I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to sew all the way to the bottom. Then I'm going to fold my flat back down, and I'm going to sew from the bottom halfway up and stop. I want to leave this much of a belt loop. That way it can ride up or down just a little bit on my belt loop, and that's a little bit of a personal choice. That's a little bit of a personal choice because I want it to flex on my belt. So when I sit down in a truck, it is, you know, it ain't like a rock. You don't want it blood tight on the belt because it needs to arc and twist so that whenever I need to lean it this way to be able to pull the knife out easily, I can kind of cock the sheath a little left to right. I don't want it too loose so it flops. You see what I'm saying? It's a tension thing. So I'll sew it about halfway up. If over time I realize, man, it's a little too loose, it's coming up too easy, I'll come up a little bit higher and tighten up this belt loop a little bit more. Now, once I've got it in there, and you can see how it's going to fit in there, once I go to utilize this, what if I find out, well, it's a little bit loose? Well, right here where I sewed it, go in just a little bit further in and sew it again. I can tighten it up just a grunt if I need to. But I can't do that if the loop's in place, see. That's the reason we're going to do the test fit, which is, again, we poke a hole and we put a thread through and we tie it at like one middle end, and we bow this down, just do it at the very bottom. Boom, boom, we put on our belt and find out. Okay? Now, I sew this first, not the flap. Then I test the fit of the knife. Is it snug enough? Is it tight enough? Can I turn it upside down and it stay in there, which is what I want. I want to push it in and be able to let go and it stay there, but I can pull it out. If I do like that and it falls out, tighten up those, you know, run another row of stitches and tighten it up just a little bit. Once this fit is correct, then fix the belt loop. Okay? Hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. And there'll be more videos coming up. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.